Land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize. Land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place we ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize. Land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna.
Good morning. Here we are once again to do our daily devotion. Today we want to look at a special passage of scripture found in the book of Romans. Sometimes when we preach some very difficult things, people get upset. People lose patience and they think that you're throwing them under the bus. But the word of God is not there to be nitpicked at. It is to be taught that people will be able to make changes in their lives. And that is always my objective, that people make changes in their lives. Now, as I look at this passage of scripture found in Romans chapter 8, it speaks about the two ways in which people can live their lives. Living by the flesh or living by the spirit. If you go to Galatians chapter 5, you see where the Apostle Paul goes even further. And he says the same things to the Galatians, but he lists the way these things manifest themselves. But he's talking about pleasing God. Because in this country, many people think that just by attending church, they will please God. You will not please God by that. You will not. If you do live your life in that way, you're making a fool of yourself. A lot of our people, I do not know what gets into them, but they live their life with this same very mindset, setting up themselves to, if they die in that state, to go to hell. And sometimes it is preached from pulpits over and over again, but it is not grasped. Instead, it is looked at as if though the pastor is throwing word at people in the pews. But this is so very important. You can live a life only two ways: living for the spirit or living by the flesh. And it goes here and it says in verse 5, it says, for those who live according to the flesh have their mind set on things of the flesh. You see? And we show this today when we're looking at this Numbers in chapter 14 of the book of Numbers. It talks about when these people went into the land, what they saw and how they came out. And the mindset that they had, out of the 12 persons that went, 10 of them gave a bad report. But if you fast forward to Numbers 25, you will see where they lived out their fantasy. They actually went and did some horrible things in the sight of God, which cost many of them their lives. Why? They live according to the flesh, and they manifested one thing that is listed from Galatians 5, sexual immorality. That's what they did. The two persons who did not go along and did not give the bad report, those people are seen 40 years later coming back into the land with the young people. Deuteronomy is the second giving of the law. And Caleb and Joshua came back with all those young people. And the Lord gave them the law the second time. But we are here looking at how you live. It says that if you are living according to the flesh, you have a mindset on fleshly things. On things of the flesh, if you're living according to the flesh. We could easily check ourselves out and see how we are living. If you're living according to the flesh or according to the spirit. It says, now the mindset of the flesh is death, but the mindset of the spirit is life and peace. Now we want those things. We long for those things. Not death, of course not. Because it says that if you live according to the mindset of the flesh, it's death. Death. And many of our people are living lives that are geared towards doing things of the flesh. Living like that is putting yourself in the crosshairs with God. Why? Because your life is not in line with the things of God. It continues and it says, the mindset of the flesh is hostile to God because it does not submit to God's law. And that's what I'm talking about. It's hostile. Remember now, God is our boss, the ones of us who are living by the Spirit. The Lord is our boss. We pay attention, we listen. That is not to say we don't err and miss the point from time to time. But living in sin and sinning is two different things. And so, as we go along our busy schedule, our busy day, we must always remind ourselves to live according to the Spirit, because other than that, we're living a life that is going to put us at the crosshair of judgment. Love of the world is enmity with God. So the saying here, right? Indeed, it is unable to do so. It can't. So even if it wants to, it can't. The body or the person who is living according to the flesh, even if that person wants to please God, that person cannot please God. It is the very nature. And the Apostle Paul spoke about seeing a second set of laws in his nature. And I know from time to time, you feel that resistance coming from within you. It's in all of us. That is a part of us, because we will live having these difficulties until we die. Think about the time before you became a Christian. And think about after when you became a Christian. And see if those things that you were struggling with, if you're struggling with them again. Or if they trouble you as much as they did in the past. They can't, because the flesh has now been controlled by the Spirit if we continue to feed the Spirit. Right? And the Spirit then takes over, giving us greater resistance against those things that we had difficulty with in the past. It is in our best interest to live according to the Spirit.
When working with sheetrock, you need screws that give you quick penetration for a speedy, stable installation. Best Screws, fast frame and fast finish drywall screws, are specifically designed for you. Engineered by Best Manufacturing, Best Screws makes every job faster and easier. These screws offer reliable performance with a superior hold. You also save money due to Best Screws affordability. They are cheaper than the leading brands. Get the job done quickly without compromising on strength. For all your drywall installations, get Best Screws Fast Frame and Fast Finish. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Infrastructure that impacts lives, provides opportunities, and enables the growth of communities and country. That has been the constant mission of the MIDH. The upgrading of the Guinea Grass Road has forged a vital link between the vibrant and productive communities of Shipyard, Guinea Grass, and the rest of Belize, which allows the smooth movement of goods and services. The transformation provided by meaningful infrastructure is very real.
We had really been struggling to transport these hoses on these roads, right? Since we have all the potholes on the roads and stuff like that. We do not have that issue anymore, right? So now when we are delivering our house, it comes to its location in a 100% complete product, right?
Before this highway came into place, this Tower Hill to Guinea Grass highway, there was a lot of bad things going on in terms of the road. It was bad, potholes when it used to rain. People used to take a long time to come out and come into the village. And even teachers who are teaching here who have to commute find it very difficult to do their traveling every day.
Una gran diferencia, gran diferencia. En el tiempo que estaba la carretera, que no estaba pavimentada, era demasiado polvo, demasiado. Y era como más despacio, andabas como más lento porque pues no podías ir rápido. Pero ahorita es un gran beneficio, la mera verdad es, yo creo que es lo mejor que el gobierno ha hecho. Yo estoy muy feliz, muy alegre con ello.
Well, now with this highway, now we have a lot of people, you know, traversing the village. And our people in our village who have a small business like fast food, they're benefiting from that, no? Because people stop there in the morning, have their breakfast, and they go and continue their business.
Have business been increasing? Definitely. Yeah, we have realized like when it comes to our customers, right? So like we do not have the problems anymore that customer would say if they would call in, okay, where are you located, right? And I would say, you're located entrance of shipyard. And then they would say, okay, we have to travel the bad road or whatever. So that's not a question anymore.
In the past, I believe these students used to struggle, meaning going on the bus or traveling on pickup, and it took long, they reached late to their classes. But right now, the transportation is accessible and the highway is accessible. So from Guinea Grass to their destination, to Orange Rock, to the high schools in Orange Rock, it takes less time. Right now, I believe teachers, people smile because it only takes minutes to reach from Guinea Grass to Tower Hill.
Belize City, get ready for a safe and reliable e-taxi experience like never before. Building on the success of our e-ride bus service, we've heard your feedback, Belize City. We've seen your enthusiasm and how eagerly you've embraced zero-emission transportation in our community. Introducing the e-ride taxi, an electric taxi service, bringing you a cleaner, greener way to travel around our beautiful city. As part of the transformative Belize City e-ride program, this new service is another step toward modernizing our transportation system for a sustainable future. Looking to book your first e-ride taxi? It's super easy. First, download the Medriva app and register. Then, book your ride. Insert your pickup and drop-off location. Select e-ride, choose the number of occupants, and pick your preferred payment method. Confirm your ride and track your e-ride in real time as it makes its way to you. It's fast, eco-friendly, and designed for your comfort. So don't wait. Download Medriva today and let's drive Belize City towards a brighter, greener future, one e-ride at a time. Your Belize City Council, always about the people.
Pletz Home Builders is the largest house building company in Belize. Pletz combines the best skilled workers, high-grade materials, and the latest technology to produce the highest quality wooden residential structures. Request any size, color, and the home layout you want. Choose from hardwood or painted metal outer walls. Pletz can modify any of their existing house plans to your satisfaction, complete with all the installation services you need anywhere in the country, including ambergris key. They can also lift your house to your desired height up to 9 feet. From properly treated and cured lumber to quality sidings and floorings, let Pletz Home Builders give your home the finish you need. For prices or questions, call 823-0398 or go to www.pletzhomebuilders.com. Pletz Home Builders, we build to suit your needs.
Oh, I wasn't having a bad day. I just needed...
It's here.
the biggest sale of the year. Find your happy place at Builders Hardware with our happy sale from October 15th to December 31st. Whether you're a contractor or a DIY pro, we got unbeatable prices that will put a big smile on your face. Freshen up your walls with 20% off all paints and 25% off paint supplies. Upgrade your space with 25% off lights, fans, AC, and a wide selection of tiles to match your style. Plus, enjoy 30 to 50% off selective items. But that's not all. We also sell sand and gravel, blocks, roofing, and more. Find everything you need from construction start to finish. Don't miss out on our happy deals. Shop today or explore our online store at shopbuildersbz.com. Visit Builders Hardware in Belmopan. This is your happy place.
Easy, accessible, safe, yours. Digi Wallet, easy, accessible, safe, yours.
Cyber Realty and Development is the leader in providing solutions to the current land crisis in Belize. For homeowners and investors alike, Cyber Realty is offering special deals on half-acre parcels in its new Emery Village development. Enjoy prime land off Mile 37 on the George Price Highway at an unbeatable price. All you need is the initial down payment of $275 Belize dollars. Take advantage and reserve your half-acre home sites today. Emery Village. Join the community. Invest in your future.
Blessed Gardens is servicing home gardens across the country from the nation's capital and helping Belizeans reconnect with nature. We have everything you need for your home garden, so get growing. We have various types of soils: fortified soil, composted soil, potting soil, and pure compost for your garden. We have quality seeds and over 65 varieties of food seedlings for your garden. We even have organic insecticides available, EM soil treatment, and Polyshade for your excessive sun or rain. Blessed Gardens has all your garden solution in one location. Call 610-5679. Visit us at the Belmopan Market Plaza or enjoy our free deliveries across the country. Blessed Gardens. Get growing, Belize.
Do you enjoy learning and wanting to know more about Christ our Savior? Then join Phil Sanders in Search of the Lord's Ways every Sunday 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. on PlusTV for half an hour of beautiful hymns and Bible messages. Messages are repeated on Tuesdays at 1:30 and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Search in the Word for God's will. Know more and do more for the God we love. In Search of the Lord's Ways with Phil Sanders is being brought to you by the Church of Christ in your area. Be sure to visit.
Mopping, tiles, furniture, and...
Miss, you don't need all of this, man. Only this you need. You make 4 out of this. And it's cheaper than all of them put together.
I want it.
Green Clean. All your cleaning needs in one bottle.
I'm coming back to your heart.
Foundations. Your work must be grounded upon solid rock, and so should your faith. Join Pastor Louis Wade Jr. weekly for Foundations Bible Study, where he goes deep into the Word of God with biblical teachings for better understanding.
A person might have potential inside of them, a desire to fulfill something, but the word of the Lord can bring that out of a person. Amen? So in the case of Gideon, though he felt that he could not do it, God had designated for him to do it. And so when God spoke the word through the angel, Gideon became who God knew he was all along.
Tune in on PlusTV Sundays for a new program or catch the repeats. We would love to hear from you. Write in and share your thoughts, prayer requests, or even post questions you may have regarding the Bible passages. Foundations. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place we ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna.
When working with sheetrock, you need screws that give you quick penetration for a speedy, stable installation. Best Screws, fast frame and fast finish drywall screws are specifically designed for you. Engineered by Best Manufacturing, Best Screws makes every job faster and easier. These screws offer reliable performance with a superior hold. You also save money due to Best Screws affordability. They are cheaper than the leading brands. Get the job done quickly without compromising on strength. For all your drywall installations, get Best Screws Fast Frame and Fast Finish. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet
Belize. Rise and shine. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, the 28th of November. That's right, we're one day off the 19th. and so we could officially begin to move into preparations for Christmas, right? I think the Americans have Thanksgiving coming up, but we head straight into, well, it's turkey dinner season, let's call it that. And I know a lot of different people do their little fundraisers, etc., around this time leading up to Christmas as well, Christmas parties, Christmas preparation. And the government has already announced that there are going to be several GST off weekends, which reduces your products by 12.5%. So if you're a good businessman, that's a good time to also do some discounts at your store so that Belizeans can get some discounts, get some inflation pressures off their back, and maybe we can start 2026 with a smaller inflation rate. I've always felt that that's one of the areas that the government should put focus on, because if inflation continues to rise and we don't have, you can have raise a pay or increase of the minimum wage, that is not going to affect the inflation rate. It will just send the money exactly down the paths, the predisposed paths, and you still end up not increasing your quality of life unless we deal with these issues of reducing inflation by reducing cost of living. And I understand that a committee has been formed. We will see what direction they take. So there's that and much more, because of course we need to talk about the recent political earthquakes that have taken place within the Briceño administration. So with that, let me say good morning to my Thursday morning co-host, Pastor Scott.
Good morning, Louis. Happy to be with you. Good morning, Belize. As always, looking forward to this wonderful time. Some big stuff to talk about, Louis.
Lots.
You said political earthquakes, and so some of these are like, 8 point something on the Richter scale, right? Some all kind of things shifting around, right? But we'll talk about that. And but I want to encourage everybody, we keep putting God in front of us, and we bring ourselves under Him and as a nation, and I believe God to always carry us through. And so anyways, join us together with that faith, because we're believing God for huge breakthroughs in the nation of Belize.
822-2031 will be the number to call, but let me give you the weather report before we get into our conversation this morning. It's November 20th, and as of 6 a.m. this morning, a slight moist east to northeasterly airflow is prevailing. In the next 24 hours, or over the next 24 hours, we can expect sunny skies with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. There will be a few showers and possible isolated thunderstorms likely affecting mainland areas along the coast this morning, and mostly over island areas this afternoon. Shower activity will decrease this evening and become isolated tonight. Marine conditions wind blowing from the east to northeast at 5 to 15 knots, with seas light choppy and waves 2 to 4 feet tall. Temperatures: inland 88 degrees Fahrenheit will be the high with 70 as the low. On the coast, 86 degrees Fahrenheit with 78 as the low. And in the hills, you can expect 78 degrees Fahrenheit with 67 as the low. Outlook for Friday and Friday night: skies will be partly cloudy. Showers will be isolated with low chance of slightly more occurring. let's do that over. Friday and Friday night: skies will be partly cloudy. Showers will be isolated with a low chance of slightly more showers, I believe, occurring over the south on Friday night. So cooler temperatures are prevailing, and isolated showers in different parts of the country. So you can prepare. It's two more days to the weekend, Scott. That's one
right.
of the things when the holiday falls in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity.
It's almost kind of like you get a weekend in the middle of the week,
that's
right?
right.
So throw your whole schedule off.
Yeah, well, depending on how hard some people partied, I hope they're, but I don't even know if they're at work today.
That's right.
I see some of those crowds behind those trailers at the parade, especially in Dangriga. But
they definitely needed a weekend in the middle of the week, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to have a productive Thursday and Friday for some people, but we went down to Dangriga on Tuesday night, and we did what is called a light party for children. We know that these holidays are celebrated not for children at all, but for adults with drinking and a lot of different things. Some the good, the bad, the ugly. I saw there was an accident on the Placencia Road and another accident up on the Philip Goldson Highway. But we wanted to carve out a time where we could minister to children, and we were able to do that on Tuesday night in Dangriga at the Nazarene Church there.
Yeah, Louis, I'd like to comment on these accidents thing. We need either a law or a firm policy that requires for announcing publicly if alcohol was involved. And I think if you're going to announce if alcohol was involved, then I think it's also good to announce that alcohol was not involved, right? And but it's somehow we're having this problem all over our nation. Cycles, vehicles, everything, and I hear from people that are close to the situations that yes, alcohol was involved, but then you never see anything publicly, and because of that, the message isn't getting out to people, and so we keep making the same stupid mistakes over and over, and people are dying. And so I'm just saying, along the lines of self-preservation as well as safety for everybody, I think we need some kind of strict law or strict policy that requires that. And so I remember when I was a kid growing up, it was a standard procedure in the news. The newscasters would say at the end of the story, and they were not wearing their seat belts, and then they would pause for a second, let that sink in. Then on other news, they would move, but it was like there was a deliberate media campaign, whether that was a law or policy or whatever, but we need something like this, because to me it feels like some kind of cover-up.
Yeah. Well, the forensics department, which is responsible for that data, published some data to show that 68% of accidents are alcohol related.
So that's over 2/3.
2/3. That's a massive number. That's like 7 out of 10 accidents.
And yet we're not addressing that. We're not addressing the root cause. That would be like when you have 15 babies, dying at the hospital, and we're not gonna investigate and find out what's going on.
And if they say traffic accidents, then that includes motorcycles, etc. And then 60% of fatalities. So they gave two numbers: 68% for traffic accidents, and then 60% fatalities. Which again, those are exorbitantly high rates where alcohol. So something should be done. So where are our breathalyzers? Where at those checkpoints? Where's the legislation to ensure? Because you can't just have breathalyzers. You need to ensure that the results are admissible in court. And so for the results to be admissible in court, then you need the legislation to back it up.
And why are we dragging our feet like this? This thing continues to go on and on. But Louis, even so, like when they have an accident and police come and you smell the person's, if they lived, you smell their breath. Even if they're unconscious, you could still smell their breath. That's enough right there to say alcohol was involved. We don't know what their blood content was, but alcohol was involved. Yeah. And some people a little bit of alcohol and they're gone. They're messed up.
This is the one in the north.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Rayburn's Ridge or something to that effect. And then there was.
But this was not fatal.
We don't have the details. Okay. I think the police will give the details today.
Yeah.
And then there was one, as I said, on the Placentia Road as well. Just two that I know
Yeah.
about. And again, nighttime and festive weekend, you can just put one and one together, and these are where our these are where our policy need to be implemented
and cracked down,
yes,
enforced, and all of that.
Heading to Dangriga, I think we were arriving there just before 6 p.m. and the police and transport department were right at the junction with the Southern Highway and the Hummingbird Highway leading into Dangriga. Yeah, so the 6 Mile point. It was an extended checkpoint. But again, by the time we returned, which would have been a little bit after midnight, when I think you should have the checkpoint was gone. So I didn't stay there for the 19th and last night, but really and truly, it was good to see the transport and police working there. But as I said, by the time we left, it was gone. I would have thought that they would have camped out there for the entire period of time of the holiday and just continue to monitor. But then again, you're checking for license and license plates. But when you suspect that somebody may be drinking, you know, then where is the breathalyzer test and so on? Like these are decades old technologies that have still not been implemented.
The penalties need to be increased, especially for alcohol or intoxication, right? Because sometimes it's not alcohol, right? But what scares me, Lewis, is you could be a very careful driver, but if you're on the road in one of these more dangerous times, weekend or holiday times or whatever, when people are drinking, you could be a very, very careful driver and still lose your life because somebody else is not being careful on the road. And so Pastor Santi, you know, one of our co-hosts, his wife was killed. Santi was off the road in the grass on the right side of the road, and somebody hit him head on. It was two guys that came from Melchor. One was drunk off his butt, asleep in the back seat. The other one was drunk off his butt, driving, and hit him head on all the way off on the right side of the road. Killed his wife and baby. Another lady passed away from that. People were fractured skulls. Santi was beat up, like this craziness. And you could be a non-drinker, you know, and driving very safe. Santi is the one who pulled off the road trying to get away from this person. And so anyways, that's when it really, really gets me upset is when, you know, if somebody has a one-car collision or whatever, then that for their own business or whatever. But when you crash into another innocent person and family and children are left, you know, without parents.
So it puts us all in danger.
Yes.
A drunk driver puts everyone on the road.
It's the epitome of selfishness, where people are just thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about others. So we need the penalties and the fines. I'm not sure what the fine is for drunk driving, but it needs to be raised up, and there needs to be strict enforcement.
You could ask Pastor Santi, what was the penalty that the person who drove into him
death?
Did?
The penalty was death.
They died.
They died, yes. And so it wasn't death penalty, but the penalty was death.
Because I remember Pastor Dino also, you remember, he had to be rushed out to the United States after a traffic accident, just near his ministry on the Hummingbird Highway. He had to be flown out for surgeries and so on.
And I remember them pushing for some kind of consequences because of the drunk driver, and nothing.
This person says, alcohol, drugs, bad roads, poorly lit roads, inexperienced drivers, mechanical failures, unlicensed drivers, speed. Many factors can come into play. I left Belize in '94 and roads have barely been upgraded, expanded, or widened. Well, one of the things I do agree is the fact that we still have lanes that have no dividers, so we do not have streams of traffic. And I believe that it will continue to plague us until we separate northbound and southbound traffic or opposing direction traffic with totally separate lanes and dividers in the middle. So either we add two more lanes with a center divider, or we build right alongside this road, we build another one. And Scott, it is not going to get cheaper, it's going to get more and more expensive, because many of these buffers, for example, between Belmopan and Belize City, have been sold, or people are encroaching upon them and applying for them, and that
it would put the road edge right at the edge of their property, which is not safe, right?
Right. That's why you have to that's why I say get more expensive, because you can't do that. So you will have to purchase those lands adjoining the existing highway.
Plus,
it's going to get more expensive with time.
Plus, you're talking about doubling our road expense by having to have two roads,
Yes.
right? And so, but Louis, a good starter would be if we could get some paint. Like there's sections of our highway that Louis has, there's no line, there's no paint, there's no nothing. And
that's why Dangriga was well done. Like,
yes.
and I think it is
that was a package
built it
deal.
some years ago.
Yes. And so, but I wonder, Louis, why do we have to get a grant or a loan from another country before we put paint on our roads? I wrestle with those issues, because I feel like we could do a whole lot better in terms of the budgeting, and that the whole safety conscious is saying, no, this is dangerous, we need to do this. And so find the money, right? But it doesn't seem, we never get rails or paint or reflectors until we get some big either grant or loan package or whatever. And so we have the ability to stand on our own 2 feet.
Yeah, and there are many ways those road crossings, not road crossing, it's called road furniture, can be maintained, because they have the big trucks. They have, I remember when Butch Martinez was a Minister of Works, he had bought and advertised like a piece of equipment and a pickup truck that they had bought and a piece of equipment to paint the road, so on. And then I remember when I was doing the investigative reporting on Rene Montero, the truck was parked behind Rene Montero's farm. And then there are machines that you could push. There are many different ways, including even manual labor. So these roads, the center lines and the side lines, and it's all road furniture that should be maintained, that help. But if you're, with all that, if you're drunk, it's not going to help. And a major, we are accustomed to driving on these narrow roads with just a center dividing line. But in reality, you have to have, if you want safer roads, you have to separate your streams of traffic. There's far more traffic on the road. Sometimes I just want to, I mean, you are from Roaring Creek, but sometimes I just want to come out from a side road in Roaring Creek onto the main highway, and you have to wait. You have to wait a long time. I would consider that to go.
Traffic is getting,
it's getting more. Yes. And sometimes I'm traveling to Belize back, and I'm in these long lines of streams of vehicles moving, and so we're seeing that there is a dramatic increase, and you will have less accidents when vehicles, even if there is an accident, you will have less fatalities when everything is going in the same direction, because mathematically you will subtract the speeds. If one is going at 50 and one is going at 70, and they're going in the same direction, that's more or less a 20-mile-an-hour force.
Right.
But if they are going in opposite direction, one is going 50 and one is going 70, you add those two forces together and you get 70 plus 50. So the difference is whether they're facing each other or going off the road. And so it's expensive, but you look at the partition that was done by Right Honorable Dean Oliver Barrow in Belize City, in an area that had a lot of accidents, which is from the Brodies roundabout on the north all the way down through to the Smart HL. It's a couple of kilometers, and you will see that they dramatically reduced in that area. I only recall one accident there where the person jumped over those separators and was heading across, and of course there was an accident. But it's very expensive and it will not become cheap. I have a friend from who lives in Belize now. He's from St. Lucia, and he was saying that, you know, when he landed and came to Belize with his family, he said the trip from Belize City to Belmopan, he said he had his feet and he had his feet together, he said, because he had never experienced that before.
Holding onto the dashboard.
Yeah, where the vehicles that it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
For us, we are accustomed to it, but I don't like driving. You're just like 2 feet from some of the largest buses and trucks.
Yes, but then on the other side of the road, we have like a 4-inch drop off, which will slice your tires. I slipped off because of a pothole and sliced the inside of my tire, and boom! I mean, that could have turned into one of those accidents,
you know that
just like that.
Four kids from our church, right?
Yes.
4 kids from our
I
church.
saw your post about that.
Yeah, that was very scary, and I think that's exactly what happened. That side of the road, where a shoulder is supposed to be.
But
that's a ripper.
What bothers me, Louis, is that ministers drive these roads every day, and it doesn't come to somebody's mind to say, get on the phone and call Minister of Transport and say, hey, we need to do something about this. You know, I remember coming down from the north. There was a place where they had a big speed bump with no signs and no paint, no nothing, right? And then there was another place that had signs of a speed bump and no speed bump, right? And it's like, wait a minute. And people are driving this road every day and nobody says anything. Either they don't notice or they don't care or whatever the issue is. But like, I'm just saying, I believe, all right, like these kind of sunken sections of the road that's on the outside, which makes your whole vehicle go down like that, right? Like, I don't know if that's what happened in that situation with those young people, but I'm a pretty good driver, right? I've been driving since I was young, and those can throw you,
they could
throw you for a loop.
You imagine you add water and slick oil to that.
Yes, exactly. And maybe if you're not so much of an experienced driver or whatever, like it can throw you right off the road.
I like the fact that when I was coming back up, when we went down to Dangriga, we were on the right-hand side of the road. So we went, and there wasn't much trouble. But when we were coming back, this is after midnight, somewhere outside of St. Margaret's, they rip up half of the road, look like they will put another pedestrian crossing. The thing is about this high, not this low, where this is the highway road, and this is what they dug down, and they put some barriers in the middle of the road, but they didn't put a sign coming back. And I tell you, just thank God. I thought when I was coming first that it was police, because one of them had a light, so I thought it was police. So I began to slow down, and thank God I slowed down, because they didn't put up a sign to say men at work, or they didn't put up the cone, or somebody knocked down the cones, and I I stopped just before going down into that thing. The entire side. Now this is a highly traffic highway. It is going to be the 19th of November.
It's dark.
Yeah, it is dark, and this is the time they are going to cut half of the road, and not put the proper signage up.
Or, God forbid, some gravel to level it up. You
Yes,
know, like,
yes, nothing's got nothing.
so-
I was like, look at this. This is like gross negligence. Negligence.
Yeah.
So like,
Well,
this is the weekend they're going to.
I wanna say this. Mr. Torres did lamp up this morning because
Yeah.
we did talk about traffic, we did talk about road safety, we're talking about all of that, and I'm not sure where he is,
Yeah.
right? So maybe the phone will ring shortly
Yeah.
after I just said that, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine us having this
Yeah.
conversation without him being involved. He's always got some good common
Yeah.
sense in these areas.
But we can definitely do better all around. Now, the big news of the week is not just the cabinet reshuffling, it's a reshuffle of the reshuffle.
That's right.
But also the resignation, the prompt and immediate resignation of Abelardo Jose Mai. Now, we have a Channel 7 clip that I would like us to play because I think it summarizes the issue, and we need to talk about that horse.
The horse issue.
Whether it's a horse or a high horse, we want to find out. I want us to play that clip. It's just a little bit over a minute long, and then we can continue our conversation. Just in case anybody has not heard as yet. Are we ready?
In 2016, reacting to a land compensation scandal involving Gaspar Vega, Prime Minister Dean Barrow bit the bullet and hosted a press conference to announce Vega's enforced resignation.
I accepted the resignation of the Honorable Gaspar Vega from the Cabinet of Belize, his resignation as a Minister of Government.
Now, Minister Abelardo Jose Mai has been forced to resign under circumstances far more serious than allegations of local corruption. The U.S. Embassy, according to sources, has alleged and shown proof of suspect activities. So the Prime Minister was forced to make Mai resign, but don't expect a press conference. This press release was issued 96 hours after news of the changes leaked out. In an unprecedented move, the minister designated to take over the hot potato Ministry of Home Affairs has publicly rejected it. Henry Charles Usher, the chairman of the party, turning down and showing up his leader, not behind closed doors, but publicly. Oscar Mira let the public know he is the actual Minister of Home Affairs and Enterprise in a Facebook post. There was no public announcement of this major portfolio juggling until today. There was also no public announcement when Minister of State Chris Coye quietly left the government in September, only 6 months after taking the oath of office as Minister of State. In March, the PM made him seem indispensable.
You have no idea how happy I was when it's all right. We'll work it out as a senator and help me with finance, because it's impossible for me to do everything. And as the Prime Minister, the burden is tremendous.
A burden he is now increasingly isolated in carrying. Coye was the third in a series of abrupt resignation by ministerial appointees. The first to fall was Magali Marin in June of 2023, who resigned as Attorney General to return to private practice. Then in December of 2023, Eamon Courtney, then the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, also abruptly resigned. And while they all returned to their private practice, Jose Mai has resigned and he has no practice to return to. He remains an area rep for Orange Walk South, a seat his party will not concede. But the question for Briceño is, how long can Mai remain politically viable? The Prime Minister has now been forced to dig into the dregs of his cabinet to promote Rodwell Ferguson to Minister of Agriculture, a minister who left a sticky trail of mismanagement in the ministries of Sports, Transport and Logistics, and Florencio Marin Jr., who the Prime Minister effectively demoted after his tenure in the Ministry of Defense and Border Security left a lot to be desired in terms of public probity. He's now back at the helm of that same ministry, his second portfolio assignment in a week. Today, as the Prime Minister now has an additional police vehicle added to his escort entourage because of security concerns related to the Corozal Free Zone, he really has to question the state of rot in his cabinet. Ministers who had been set to one side for good and clear reasons have now been promoted, and close allies are now under U.S. scrutiny.
All right, so that is a analysis of the matter from Jules Vasquez, who is probably the most senior of the journalists, of the core of journalists. It does contain some speculation, but I think it best summarizes the journey of the Johnny Briceño administration over the years, and the way Dean Barrow, Honorable Dean Barrow, retired Prime Minister, dealt with the Gaspar Vega resignation, as opposed to how current Prime Minister Honorable Johnny Briceño is dealing with the Abelardo Mai resignation. There are two different ways, in my opinion, that the resignation, the way Dean Barrow dealt with the resignation of Gaspar Vega is different from the way that Honorable Prime Minister Briceño is dealing with the Abelardo Mai situation.
Yep. Something's going on, and I was surprised, Louis, to see that get clarified as a health complication back issue, and
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe the horse story? No, straight question.
Straight question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much I believe it?
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, believability.
I would say -1.
Yeah, I would say 0. I wouldn't go to the -1, but it holds no water.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that that's the way I feel, but that is just the reality of the matter.
Yeah.
That I'm just here listening
you
to
didn't
a
make
horse
those
story,
choices.
and I'm sorry, I don't bite.
Yeah.
I don't bite.
Yeah.
Not for a minute.
And so.
And the country doesn't bite because all the memes are there with Abelardo Mai falling off a horse and Prime Minister pushing a wheelchair with Abelardo Mai in it, and it's shameful.
And so I don't have any inside information on the situation, but you know, as Jules.
Yeah, but it's believability, right?
I understand.
Because a Prime Minister is supposed to come.
I understand.
And with if he comes out, especially with the force of the entire cabinet, we are supposed to believe him. We want to believe him.
Yes.
Like I would want to believe, but there is nothing that I can say that could help me to believe that this is true, and I think that is bad.
You know, you shared something with me one time, there was something that your dad had taught you, that only you can affect your reputation, right? And in situations like this, I mean, that comes crashing through. And so, but Jules cited top government leaders inside that confirmed.
He also not predicted, but before the resignation happened, Jules came forward and said that the resignation was going to take place.
Yeah.
So his information, it set the environment for what we would weigh against what the Prime Minister would say. It set the environment. And then Jules' statement is based upon existing scenarios. If you take a look at the fact, like, why would a senior minister who is the chairman of the People's United Party, why would he reject the post of Minister of Home Affairs and Enterprise? Scott, like that, like I believe that I have known Minister Usher for years as a politician and as a minister, and the things he has done and said, like they carry weight.
There's a consistency.
A consistency. And so it bugged my mind. I did not pick up the phone to say, bro, what is happening, or minister, what is happening, or whatever way that I would try to mend that. But it blew my mind. I know for 2 or 3 days, like that's like an anchor also against which I weigh. And then there was the shooting or attempted assassination of the prime minister's cousin's son-in-law. Like, this is close to home, and all of these things, Scott.
Yeah.
So like to come up with a bad back off a horse, like, is so far removed from the reality of the national situation that we are in. Like, it's far removed.
Yeah, it's true, Louis. You said this one time, I can't remember if it was in a conversation or on air, but that here at PlusTV that you only run about 30% of what you know. Like, there's a lot of things that are backed up, they're stewing, you can't bring it out just yet, or you could, but it's not the right time. But there's only about 30% that's coming out, and there's, 70% more that's kind of waiting in queue, which would explain why Jules would say, I predict, that this is going down, because he, you get information and all that, but
Scott, every minister serves at the call,
the pleasure,
and the pleasure of the prime minister. It has nothing to do with whether a minister is also the chairman of the party or anything like that. Like, that's a political or party political position that is totally separate from governance and the administration of the government of a country. And so to try to say that a minister, by virtue of his standing in the political party, has rejected a portfolio from the prime minister, like, it does not go down well for me as an explanation. So there has to be a overriding, overarching reason for a minister like Honorable Henry Usher to reject a portfolio, and that portfolio specifically has to do with policing and enterprise, which is the free zones.
Yep.
You see, like, and like, that's
you want to talk about some hot zones and questionable, controversial. But Louis, this is my take on Honorable Henry Usher. I got to know him when he was the Minister of Religious Affairs, and I believe with all my heart that he actually has a strong constitution.
Right.
He actually believes something. Many politicians, when you talk with them, you don't get the sense that they actually believe in anything except self or whatever. And being with Minister Usher, my takeaway was this guy actually believes something. He actually stands for something, right? And so when I heard that he rejected the portfolio, I trusted that dynamic of character that I got to know personally from being with him, right? And so we don't know everything of what all's going on, but again, that character, the consistency of somebody's character. So
and this is prime ministerial material. Henry Charles is prime ministerial material.
That's right.
Right? Like, he has it, and he's heading in that direction. And so, in a sense, to me, to be able to prove the ability to straighten up a department and a situation would be something that you would embrace, unless there is a overriding, overarching reason or rationale for rejecting it. And the only thing that I could think about is security and personal security, and maybe the state in which the police department, as it relates to the enterprise or the current situation, makes him step back. I mean, as I said, no, just reading the cards on the table, and so there has to be a dynamic shift that they compel whoever will be the CEO, Honorable Oscar Mira, Belmopan's representative. I mean, he's been doing the BDF, and he's stepped into the post. But I believe that a lot needs to be done to bring about that trust in the Belizean people, because the word cartel has been mentioned as it relates to tobacco, and then the minister is removed from that portfolio. The other minister who takes it says, I don't want it. And then a minister has to step down, and questions of cartel and enterprise keep coming up.
That's right.
So it is all one issue, and I do not believe that the responses that we have received so far, particularly in the light of a bad back, it doesn't stand.
Yeah.
It does not stand.
But Louis, when you're hearing this, and you're hearing this, and this, and this, and all these things line up, and then you get an explanation like this, and it doesn't, it's like it's way out in left field.
It's too far out.
Too far out.
Too far out.
You could try your hardest to try and pull it in, but you know, don't blame it on the horse, right?
Not the father.
It is related to Ministry of Agriculture, but don't blame it on the horse.
We need a press conference akin to the press conference of Dean Barrow as it relates to Gaspar Vega. There were still questions, but you felt somehow that Dean Barrow was trying to do the right thing in the midst of a crisis. Because remember now, Abelardo Mai is a minister was Minister of Agriculture, but Gaspar Vega was the Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Deputy Prime Minister. But as best as he could, Dean Barrow faced the situation, did what was needed to be done. And then there was a meeting with John Briceño and the Chargé d'Affaires for the United States Embassy, also along with the whole thing. Like, these are not coincidences, these are not coincidences.
Not changing the topic, but explaining in this situation, Louis, but with the Constitution process, a recommendation was made about the Prime Minister being able to select a cabinet completely apart from area reps, and let area reps be area reps. But what I'm just seeing is, just because somebody won their area, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have a character reputation, you know, that is rock solid. And so allowing the Prime Minister to be able to pull others that he knows, they didn't have to win any kind of election, be able to pull them in to be able to run things. I think that's one of the ways that we can clean things up in our nation.
It is true, but the process that we have, that pathway exists, but it exists through the Senate.
Right.
So the person becomes a senator, you appoint the person as a senator, and then the senator fulfills a ministerial role.
But they only have so many slots, right?
Yes.
And so we wind up with, what, 16, sometimes we've had 20 ministers, you know, because all of these people are area reps. And then part of the explanation was, it's part of how you can control these people, because if they don't toe the line of what we're doing in cabinet, right, then they lose their ministerial position or whatever. And so it turns into this a really bad situation.
But I agree that that's the explanation, but it doesn't wash, because a backbencher, which is the way it's built to be, is a better way to ensure that the minister that you have stay in line.
Right.
Because if you, right, you know, so it's literally a way to bring everybody on board, to make everybody happy at the expense of the taxpayer,
Yes, the
because
nation.
you have this huge ministry of all of these ministries of everything, and then you have ministers of state, and practically everybody is a minister. So you have no backbenchers. So then everybody could do what they want. So this backbencher. Two things here. The government had an overwhelming victory, to the point where I think it's only 3 people that are in opposition. So you have 28 individuals. So you are supposed to have a solid backbench, so know that if any minister slip, and then your backbenchers, like, they are watching you too, that you do the right thing, because you might be my chance. You see, so these pressures are created by the democratic system to help ministers to walk right.
That's right.
But the approach, as I said, is that you make a person a senator, and then that person can perform a ministry, and that is how Eamon Courtney,
Senator Koyi also,
and Senator Koyi, but then both have resigned.
Yes.
Both have resigned as ministers, and both are still senators. Both are still senators. Both Senator Eamon Courtney and Senator Koyi still carry out, and as you watch them perform, as you hear them perform, as you see the Senate, you can see that they play a formidable role intellectually, experientially.
They're both extremely sharp.
Absolutely.
Sharper than a sharp machete.
So the Prime Minister has very, very good people around him. So why are these people resigning?
Yeah.
Why is a person saying, I don't want this post.
Yeah.
I don't want this post. So the Prime Minister has to go around again to do a reshuffle, and at that point the charge comes in and said, not that one. Not that one. So that's clearly what is happening. It's clearly so. It's Dr. Charge of Affairs of the United States,
it's true,
saying, bad back, get off that horse. So I am not convinced that the story that the government has put in the domain and I think we are owed proper answers, because I want to say this part, because if this has anything to do with cartel and cartel movement as it relates to tobacco and as it relates to what is taking place in the free zones, then the entire nation, the national security, the security of the nation is at stake. Because if a person can reject the police portfolio because he feels threatened, this is now my assumption based on everything that is playing, then this is not a laughing matter. And the people where they talk about Budna, this need to stop talk about that, because my point is, you have to remove the Minister of Police. Minister of Police gets removed. You could say, okay, Budna, foul guy, but that can create a confusion with the narrative. If what is really at play is cartel, and then you're attributing it to something that does not have the equal weight to cartel infiltration. So there is confusion. There's confusion, and what we need is clarity. We need
That's just how I see that. What we need on this issue is clarity. And then right in the midst of it, there is a bust of 500 boxes of cigarettes from the free zone. Come on, Scott.
Yeah.
What is God saying?
Yeah.
God is in this, like
That's
God's
right.
hand is in this.
That's right.
Because it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Lewis. Right, and I also agree with you that God is trying to get a message across. What happened out at Keycocker, Lewis, it was uncanny to see the specifics. God is sending a message, right? And then to see some of these other things, because I know there's lots of people praying. When I was texting out to everybody to get people praying for the Keycocker thing, Lewis, I was surprised how many responses I got back from pastors and leaders saying, our church has been fasting and praying for the last 3 days getting ready for this. People are praying and God is responding. He's trying to get the attention of the country of Belize. And so watch carefully. I would say continue to pray, but let righteousness prevail in our nation.
Because if the government does not do the right thing, God will continue to expose more until the right thing is done. Because we pray for this nation, we love this nation, and we do not want this nation to be presented to cartels, put it into their hands. We do not want that. And so if a person who could do the job can't do the job because they feel that their life is threatened, then we are in a worse position that we are, and we need to pay attention. One more thing I'm going to add to that, Scott. I'm going to add to that. What we were fighting out in Kikaka was what the people were saying, that the cartel can come, the cartel will come. The cartel can come because you are legalizing marijuana for a small island. No, that came from a ministry. What ministry was that? New Growth Industry. It was New Growth Industry, which is marijuana. Who did the Prime Minister give that portfolio to? It was Abelardo Mai. So Abelardo Mai, who had agriculture, now gets marijuana, and immediately after that, the U.S. Charge d'Affaires comes in and says, not this one. You see? So you imagine that marijuana was given to Abelardo Mai and no Abelardo Mai has to resign? Yeah. So as I'm saying, all of these parts are playing simultaneously. Don't give me a bad backstory. All of these things are playing simultaneously, so God's hand is in it. Because the number of factors that can be read giving you one specific direction, you can't come with a and then the thing is, if it was
with
true,
a horse story.
with a horse story, with a pony story, I mean, if it was true, you could have had the trust and credibility to make. If it's true, then where is the credibility to just say this is really what it is, and everybody go, okay. Because that is now trust. That's a matter of trust. Right. Because you are saying, no, all of this is not true. This is true. Then there has to be that credibility, because in the midst of confusion and in the midst of chaos, it is integrity that makes you say, despite all of this, I can believe this story with the horse. So it brings up the issue of trust and integrity, which is solely at the foot and mercy of the Prime Minister.
That's right.
We are supposed to trust our Prime Minister in the midst of a chaos like this, when he comes out and say, it's just a horse. I want to, but it's not there. And I need to put these things on record and up front and center with what is taking place in this country. Can we play, let's play the clip of Rear Admiral and Commandant Elton Bennett, and then we'll take a break and see and add to it. Are we ready on that?
The Northern Europe operation has been continuously becoming an issue for us. We have, over the past recent months, increased our operational tempo in that area, and I'm referring to the entire northern border region. as relates to the boundary in the Rio Hondo River and its approaches in between Belize and Mexico. So we've been very active in that area. And I think the operation that you are alluding to is what occurred sometime around the 12th of October, where the Coast Guard patrol in that area had seized a large quantity of what we determined to be contraband goods on the river bank on the Belizean side that we believe was being prepared to be shipped over into Mexico. As I mentioned, we're very active in that area. We were conducting an operation sometime around midnight on the 12th, where a patrol encountered what we determined to be contraband and had seized those cargo. Unfortunately, we were not able to detain any individuals, and they all fled as we approached the area. Those items were handed over to the police department and the customs department in the presence of a justice of the peace immediately after we made that seizure.
So can you say if these items were directly linked to the free zone?
That's what we suspected. As I mentioned, individuals fled, and so we secured the cargo. We believe that, yes, indeed, it came out of the free zone.
All right. See, so that's why I say all of these things are happening simultaneously. And all of these things are related. All of them are related. And then on the other side, then you have a harsh story. So like, that's how it looks. That's how it looks. Because I think that God allowed Commandant to find a cigarette right at this time. At the time when you also have this attempted murder. At the time when Enterprises is taken away from Abelardo Mine, but is given New Growth Industry. So all of these things read one story, and then there is a harsh story separately. Is this the same story or what? Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's a big thing, Louis.
Yes.
And but you know, in relationships, if you have any kind of core morality, there's a philosophy that when you lose trust, you've lost everything, right? And I would say that goes for public leadership as well. When you lose trust, you've lost everything.
Yeah. We'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll see how this story now plays with the overall story. We'll be right back. You're watching Rise and Shine on PlusTV.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know.
Infrastructure that impacts lives, provides opportunities, and enables the growth of communities and country. That has been the constant mission of the MIDH. The upgrading of the Guinea Grass Road has forged a vital link between the vibrant and productive communities of Shipyard, Guinea Grass, and the rest of Belize, which allows the smooth movement of goods and services. The transformation provided by meaningful infrastructure is very real.
We had really been struggling to transport these houses on these roads, right? Since we have all the holes on the roads and stuff like that. We do not have that issue anymore, right? So but now when we are delivering our house, it comes to its location in a 100% complete product, right?
Before this highway came into place, this Tower Hill to Guinea Grass highway, there was a lot of bad things going on in terms of the road. It was bad. Potholes when it used to rain. People used to take a long time to come out and come into the village. And even teachers who are teaching here who have to commute find it very difficult to do their traveling every day.
una gran diferencia, gran diferencia. En el tiempo que estaba la carretera, que no estaba pavimentada, era demasiado polvo, demasiado. Y era como más despacio, andabas como más lento porque pues no podías ir rápido. Pero ahorita es un gran beneficio, la mera verdad es, yo creo que es lo mejor que el gobierno ha hecho. Yo estoy muy feliz, muy alegre con ello.
Well, now with this highway, now we have a lot of people, traversing the village. And our people in our village who have a small business like fast food, they're benefiting from that, no? Because people stop there in the morning, have their breakfast, and they go and continue their business.
Have business been increasing? Definitely. Yeah, we have realized like when it comes to our customers, right? So like we do not have the problems anymore that customer would say if they would call in, okay, where are you located, right? And I would say we're located entrance of shipyard, and then they would say, okay, we have to travel the bad road or whatever. So that's not a question anymore.
In the past, I believe these students used to struggle, meaning going on the bus or traveling on pickup, and it took long, they reached late to their classes. But right now, the transportation is accessible and the highway is accessible. So from Guinea Grass to their destination, to Orange Rock, to the high schools in Orange Rock, it takes less time. Right now, I believe teachers, people smile because it only takes minutes to reach from Guinea Grass to Tora Hill.
Pletz Home Builders is the largest house building company in Belize. Pletz combines the best skilled workers, high-grade materials, and the latest technology to produce the highest quality wooden residential structures. Request any size, color, and the home layout you want. Choose from hardwood or painted metal outer walls. Pletz can modify any of their existing house plans to your satisfaction, complete with all the installation services you need anywhere in the country, including ambergris key. They can also lift your house to your desired height up to 9 feet. From properly treated and cured lumber to quality sidings and floorings, let Pletz Home Builders give your home the finish you need. For prices or questions, call 823-0398 or go to www.pletzhomebuilders.com. Pletz Home Builders, we build to suit your needs.
Oh, I wasn't having a bad day. I just needed...
It's here, the biggest sale of the year. Find your happy place at Builders Hardware with our happy sale from October 15th to December 31st. Whether you're a contractor or a DIY pro, we got unbeatable prices that will put a big smile on your face. Freshen up your walls with 20% off all paints and 25% off paint supplies. Upgrade your space with 25% off lights, fans, AC, and a wide selection of tiles to match your style. Plus, enjoy 30 to 50% off selective items. But that's not all. We also sell sand and gravel, blocks, roofing, and more. Find everything you need from construction start to finish. Don't miss out on our happy deals. Shop today or explore our online store at shopbuildersbz.com. Visit Builders Hardware in Belmopan. This is your happy place.
When working with sheetrock, you need screws that give you quick penetration for a speedy, stable installation. Best Screws, fast frame and fast finish drywall screws are specifically designed for you. Engineered by Best Manufacturing, Best Screws makes every job faster and easier. These screws offer reliable performance with a superior hold. You also save money due to Best Screws affordability. They are cheaper than the leading brands. Get the job done quickly without compromising on strength. For all your drywall installations, get Best Screws Fast Frame and Fast Finish. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are in the last segment of our show for this morning. It's the 28th of November, the day after the 19th, and the first day for start singing Christmas carols. But we are singing a different tune this morning because certainly all Belizeans should be concerned about the resignation of Abelardo Mai, and if it's for his health, then we should be concerned for his health. But at the present moment, based upon what we have been discussing, it doesn't fly, and that's a problem that it doesn't fly.
Doesn't hold water.
It doesn't hold water.
All the water is leaking out.
There's a problem.
Yeah, and so and then that's where it's so important, And Louis, I think both political parties have run on the platform of transparency, and then things like this happen, and you get some what I would call poppycock explanation, and everybody is out there going, "Are you kidding me?" Like, you know. And so I want to encourage everybody. We need to stand strong, and you need to keep your eyes wide open. And regardless of your party affiliation, this has nothing to do with party politics. It has everything to do with truth and lies.
Because it's the cartels.
Yes, yes,
and you're
yes.
trying to keep us from knowing the truth about the hold that cartels may have in a particular industry in Belize.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to play well. That is not going to play well if you are trying to close our eyes to a reality of cartels. Like in Mexico right now, Gen Z is having huge protests.
I saw that.
Huge protests at the palace of the
younger generation.
The younger
Yep.
generation.
Yep.
Because of too many deaths, the cartels are controlling Mexico.
And Louis, I did a little bit of digging in on Scheinbaum in Mexico.
We have a call. Sarah.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
We'll take the call, then we'll
sure.
Carla, good morning.
Good morning, Pastor Wade. Good morning.
Morning.
Is the caller still on?
Hi.
Okay, caller.
I am very concerned with what I'm seeing happen in the most recent days, weeks.
We're not hearing you.
Okay, it's Don Hector.
Oh, Don Hector, okay.
Don Hector, try calling back. It's not loud enough. We're not.
Hello?
Is that a problem here or there? Huh? The two words sound the same here and there sound the same. Okay, there. All right. So Scott, all right. Now, one of the things I note is that the United States invests a lot of money in Coast Guard.
And rightfully so.
Right. So, and then the Coast Guard is circling the northern free zone, right? It's a part of their job, but just based on the way the answers were given, there's suspect activity that's taking place. Because the way the Coast Guard commander described it, they have no jurisdiction over what takes place inside the free zone. But the police should. Like, this is what the police should be doing. But they don't have jurisdiction inside. But they can patrol outside, and there is the Rio Hondo River. And then they find this contraband, and it's coming from the free zone, and it's heading over. And we have had this conversation with containers moving north to west and so on. So that we don't need containers now for move it across the river. These are boats now. And so the Coast Guard was able to intercept at some degree 500, that's a lot. I mean, I think our studio, 500 boxes cannot fit inside here. So is that a container load that just can't go across in a container, but will be traversing by river? And so they've stopped it, they've confiscated. Now, here's the thing. These are the thoughts that go through my head now. All right? Where in the free zone they come from? And who is missing 500 boxes? Who can't produce invoicing that you imported X amount and 500 boxes is supposed to register somewhere within one of the companies that's related to tobacco inside the free zone?
Yeah.
So when will we get a file on that? When will the DPP get a file on that? Because that requires an investigation. So the police is supposed to now go in based upon this evidence that the Coast Guard has presented and find out exactly where it's coming from.
Yep. And many times it'll just sit and wait for another soundbite of another news story to where it just gets swept under the marley, right? And and Louis, that's part of the reason why these things continue to happen, because we don't stamp them out when they're small.
Yeah,
And
so somebody buy it, right? Somebody bought it. Then somebody transported it to the current location, and then it was a part of somebody's inventory inside the free zone. No, we did not get any details at all, because what's the marking on those cigarettes? Cigarettes have a marking, right? So what is it? Benson and Hedges? I don't know. Is it Winston? Is it?
all from China, right?
Exactly.
Winston Young,
right? Because so this thing is bigger, and then if they are legitimate, no, not legitimate. If they are counterfeit from companies in the United States, right? If they are legitimate, or if they're counterfeit from legitimate companies that are headquartered in the United States, here's another reason why the U.S. government and the U.S. Embassy is interested, because it is not only a contraband issue, it is also a counterfeit issue, which is another level or layer of investigation.
That's right.
So we want to hear about the investigation that's taking place with these cigarettes.
And is there an investigation? There's supposed to be.
Well,
right?
The capture just happened, so you know.
We will see. But at the same time, though, Louis, this has been happening for a long time, and it's been slipping through. And so some different things have changed, right? And so yes, U.S. companies have an interest in terms of protecting their trademark, and so there might be a little bit of pressure on that, but rightfully so, right? And so, but my concern, Louis, has to do with the corruption that's taking place in the free zone. That's involving customs, if it's involving, the business players and all that. But people know that it's going on, right? And they have confidential informants, I'm sure, in there, and so people know, and they've told them exactly where these came from, right? But just like with so many other areas for us in Belize, we just lack the enforcement. We lack the cracking down, and that's why these things continue to happen over and over and over.
Yeah. And that cigarette, there is a tobacco bill that is passing through the House and Senate, and so that's why I'm saying that we have several things taking place now. The tobacco bill heading through the House and Senate, it's still at the House level because it just came out of committee, and I think there is another House meeting next week, so we have to see, Scott, if that's moving through with some of the recommendations that were made. Then the enterprise, which is free zone, and the attempted murder of this individual at mile 8 is related, the media is relating it to cigarettes in the free zone. And then you have this actual evidence of movement of cigarettes beyond our border, because Belize is not a tobacco producing country. It does not export tobacco. Mexico has its own system for tobacco, and so the tobacco imported to Belize should be for Belize. So when you see the sizable quantities that are going over to other countries, like that's a national security issue. And then if cartels are involved, as the media is saying, then we expect that the government has a job to protect us, like the protection of the Belizean citizen is paramount. And then, Scott, it's not just the protection of the Belizean, but the Belizean have to also feel safe. So it's possible to be safe but not feel safe. These are two different things. So even as the government handles the natural security and make Belize safe, we have to feel safe as well. And that is where trust, honesty, transparency comes in. So can't run away from it. Your closing comments this morning.
Well, Louis, we have been praying for Belize for a long time, and those prayers will not go in vain, and it's going to sprout, it's going to blossom into righteousness. I think my encouragement and exhortation to our government leaders is cooperate with that process. I believe this is something that's led by God. It's something that's led by the Holy Spirit, because He wants to take our nation into blessing. And so, as we were talking about off the air, Louis, I believe that these are some strong signals from God that are coming to us as a nation. And so I know that it lines up with everything that we've been praying for. And so I want to encourage all of us, let's keep pouring on the fire in prayer. Keep pressing for righteousness. Keep pressing for truthfulness in our nation, and let the chips fall where they may. So I am hoping and praying, Louis, that we will get more of a clear explanation from the Prime Minister. I'm not sure how that is going to happen, but I know that it needs to happen. So anyways, I want to encourage all of us. Let's keep pressing. Let us not back down. That's part of the reason why we're here talking about these issues.
All right, from all of us here at Rise and Shine, God bless you, Belize. Thank you so much for joining us. Scott, thank you so much for your input. Most important input this morning. And Belize, let's continue to pray for our nation, and let's continue to demand answers that can help us to clarify what's taking place in all of these issues that we have discussed. From all of us here at Rise and Shine, God bless you, Belize. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Louis. Belize, have a wonderful day.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys.